we are still going to face dynamics which are outside our control, right? For example, something may go very well and then we'll have an earthquake like you had in Nepal. That will destroy everything and people will have to restart everything, right? So people who are doing well, who had a house, who had, parents who are earning, so if the house is destroyed, if, those who are earning in the family are no longer able to earn, then what happens? Again, the children, everybody becomes subject to, having to go into, like either child labor or get to work to somebody's house, become bread earners in the family. So, you see, therefore, this is something that will require continuous effort to address it. Like we always say, you know, child labor or violence against children is not going to be eliminated in my lifetime. That does not mean that we cannot do things that can create better opportunities for, either through laws, policies, or institutional mechanisms whereby we try and create better livelihoods, better and safety standards for children, isn't it? So we need to continuously work on it. What is important is that we recognize the need. We need to keep on making this an important agenda. We need to continuously make sure that our future generations like you, if you understand that, beating a child or employing a child in hazardous circumstances is not the right thing to do, then you will actually make an effort to ensure that you don't do such things. But in the parents' time, your parents or my parents or grandparents' time, beating a child was normal. You see, making a child work was normal because that was how it was then. But now it is not like that, right? So now children should be in school, children should be getting an education, children should be consulted. We should hear the views of the children, what the children think about themselves. So that's how we change slowly. So therefore this conference, that's why when they wanted to see where the bricks are coming, or when they said we need to look at what type of new technology for brick kilns to be used, or when they said we need to look at safety and protection, but then those are very very micro, isn't it? What I want to do is keep the issue on the agenda, keep talking about it, make sure that people who are responsible for this in the government, in the donor community, in the policy frameworks, understand that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, what will happen is, okay, let's look at the technology, and you forget about it. See, we have to address through a multi-pronged approach. We need to look at everything that will create an environment for better lives in the brick kilns, right? So that's the whole focus of it. Either looking at the environment, looking at water and other resources, pollution, children's welfare. Children's welfare will be directly related to welfare of the parents, adults who are working. So you need to create better environments for adults and parents. So therefore, there's no easy solution. It needs to be a whole lot of areas that we need to work on to be able to create or achieve what we want to do.
And what do you think, sir? How much government is cooperating with these kind of projects?
You're saying organizations?
Organizations as well as the government.
Government,
See,
how much they are
there are so
cooperating?
many. See, here what I try to bring is bring people from the child rights world, bring people who are basically working with, let's say, environment, people who are only working with technology, engineering, people who are only looking at animal welfare. Even in the animal welfare, some are just veterinarians, some are actually looking at rescue, isn't it? We also have people here who are looking at, trafficking. You know, we have people who are looking at rescuing children. We have organizations who are funding, like banks, World Bank. You know, we have organizations like WHO who are only responsible for health. We have organizations like ILO who are only looking at labor. So, what was necessary is that everybody, we never come together and discuss issues like this. Like child rights, we always meet on our own and we are always talking about child rights. We don't realize that child rights or child labor cannot be addressed unless we also see the situations where children are working, like the brick-kilns. So when we look at brick-kilns and child labor, then we cannot only look at the child labor alone. Then we need to look at the human labor, the conditions of the parents. We need to look at environment within which the parents are working, where children are growing. We need to also look at, for example, animals. Wherever animals are employed, there are children. Why? Because then they need children to take care of the animals. So all these connections need to be drawn. So therefore, we need to continuously keep expanding partnerships. Now, one of the things we missed out is that we forgot or did not know that we need to invite owners of brick-kilns. Most of the owners are very rich people. So they don't even know what is happening in the brick-kiln. What they do is they employ people who take care of the brick-kilns, their business. So if you bring the owners, then the owners will be able to find out what is going on and maybe invest or help to improve the situation, right? So these are the things that we need to continuously work on, you know, what I call expanding the partnership. And what I'm trying to do is not get stuck with small things. I'm looking at a larger movement. That's what I call the tsunami movement, right? So that's what we need to look at.
They have a question, but they are feeling shy.
Nepali ma bhannu ni ta.
Do you think these endeavors will be effective to give international recognition to this agenda?
Yes. In fact, at the end of the day, that's why we are saying national, regional, and international group. And what I'm saying is, most of the time, international level, they keep talking about everything up there, and they don't realize what is really going on the ground. So what we are saying is we need to link national agenda with regional agenda and with the international agenda, so that everything there has to be connected. Like for example, if you are talking about violence against children, now there is a global movement for violence against children. That global movement is going to say child labor, corporal punishment, child marriage, child trafficking, isn't it? But if you don't understand in what situation corporal punishment is taking place, in what situation child labor is taking place, what are the contributing factors, then we will not be able to do sensitive regional, international work without understanding national level. And if national level is not reflected at the international level or regional level, then we don't get the importance, right? So that's why what I am saying is that while I do downstream, that means at the national level and local level, I need to also take the agenda upstream, that means take it to global level, so that we are able to make enough noise for people to take recognition of the importance of issues like child labor, animal welfare, environment in the brick-kilns.
So you mean that we need to link the local level and global level?
Yes,
right?
yes. We say, there is a saying, no? Think globally, act locally. So that's actually what we need to do. And unless and until we are, see, immaterial what happens in the United Nations halls, you know, in New York or Geneva. We go there and make a lot of, we keep fighting for the mic to speak. After that, what do? We go for a dinner, we go for a sightseeing, we go boating and take a flight, and then our work is done, isn't it? Then I get on to another work. But at the local level, then we should be able to say, okay, I need to address, say for example, in that brick-kiln industry, there is issue related to water sanitation. There is an issue related to shelter. Then you need to be able to work with people to create improvement here, right? So that's why we need to make sure that what is happening at local level and regional level, global level, each one must make sense to the other one. There's no point talking about, let's say, child labor on paper if you actually don't do anything to improve the situation of the family so that children are not involved in child labor. So that is what we need to try.
And can you ensure that the conclusions of this program will be included in the national building policy?
Yes, yes. So what I'm saying is the outcome document which we have, this will be now shared with everybody. We discussed that in the SIVOC, in our mechanism. What I will be now doing is taking it to different conferences that we organize or that I go to, and we tell that this is what happened. This is what we need to do. This needs to be, recognized. So this is what we need to do continuously. And at the national level, what we are saying is that we'll hold national level consultations like this, again at each country, so that the same thing that we are discussing here becomes much more real when we do at the national level, because then there we may be even able to understand more clearly the issues than we are able to do here, right? Say for example, in Nepal now, what I understand is there are a lot of brick kilns that have introduced new technologies. But here we don't understand. We are only talking about brick kilns as like a villain in a movie, right? So there are technologies that have been introduced. So some of the brick kilns actually have very good environment in which, because brick kiln is a very important source of labor and employment, right? So you cannot, just because the brick kilns are having this problem, you cannot take away employment opportunities and opportunities for livelihood from people, isn't it? Say for example, this is mostly seasonal. If you are within that season, if you are able to find 6 months job, then you are able to live another 6 months without problem, isn't it? So we also need to look at the positive side, that when we improve the brick kilns, we can improve conditions within which people can get employment. So that's why it is important on national agenda.